Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jaya Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Diriyet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 23, entitled Devahuti's Lamentation. Text number 38 onwards. Tasminna lupta mahima priyayana rakto vidyadharibhir vachirna vapur vimane babraj utkach kumad ganvan pichas tara bhiravrit ivodupatir nirvastha. Though seemingly attached to his beloved consort while served by Gandharva girls, the sage did not lose his glory, which was mastery over himself. In the aerial mansion, Kardamuni with his consort shone as charmingly as a moon in the midst of the stars in the sky, which causes rows of lilies to open in ponds at night. The mansion was in the sky, and therefore the comparison to the full moon and the stars is very beautifully composed in this verse. Kardamuni looked like the full moon, and the girls who surrounded his wife Devahuti seemed just like the stars. On a full moon night, the stars and the moon together form a beautiful constellation. Similarly, in that aerial mansion in the sky, Kardamuni with his beautiful wife and the damsels surrounding them appeared like the moon and the stars on a full moon night. So, although there were 1,000 young Gandharva girls serving Kardamuni and Mother Devahuti, Kardamuni, being a sage, being a yogi, he did not lose his glory. He did not get attracted by any of those girls. He was only concerned about his wife. And also, although Kardamuni is such a great yogi and with his yogic powers, he could create such a huge mansion and the girls and give so much of beauty to his wife, he himself did not abuse that power. He had so much of power, but he did not abuse that. He did not use it in his service. He originally he was just living in a hermitage, in a cottage, in a hut, without eating or without having any opulences. And after giving the children to his wife, he'll again go back to the forest for his meditation. So that is really control. Not that because he got the yogic powers, and this is what actually Prabhupada said, that one who does Hatha Yoga, he will get some yogic powers. But the problem is he gets distracted by the eight siddhis, so that's why he cannot make further progress. So eight siddhis, ashta siddhis, they are the byproducts of Hatha Yoga system. But the idea is not to get distracted by that. But the problem is, as soon as somebody gets those powers, many people start coming to him. Of course, they come to him for material gains. And the person who has the powers, he gets distracted because these people, they start claiming that this person is God who has got yogic powers. And and then this person who was a yogi, who was supposed to go much beyond his yogic powers, he gets distracted and he starts enjoying that life. And that's the disadvantage of the Hatha Yoga system. In Bhakti Yoga, of course, Bhakti Yoga is the topmost yoga and it has all the benefits of Hatha Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, everything. But in Bhakti Yoga, one gets the powers by mercy of Krishna. When Krishna sees this person is not going to misuse the powers, he can give the powers to his devotees. Just like Srila Prabhupada being a pure devotee, Mahabhagavat, he was never going to misuse the powers. In Bombay, when after all this the legal cases and the other issues with the Jew temple land was over and the Jew temple was being built, part of it, construction was going on, or after it was constructed, this Mr. P.L. Sethi, who helped Prabhupada a lot during that turmoil, during that fighting and construction. So after everything was over, Prabhupada once went to see Mr. P.L. Sethi. Although P.L. Sethi did not take up chanting, but Prabhupada was very affectionate towards him because he helped Prabhupada in such a difficult time. So Prabhupada went to see him, and Mr. Sethi was lying on the bed and he was sick, he was ill. And Prabhupada asked him what happened. And Mr. Sethi had the pacemaker attached to his heart. He said, the doctor said, my heart is weak, so it needs a pacemaker. You would be surprised. Prabhupada just grabbed that pacemaker and removed it. He said, no, you don't need it. I can cure you without pacemaker. And he just removed it. That's it. And Mr. Sethi afterwards never had to use that pacemaker again. So these powers are there. Prabhupada had those powers, but he never misused them. He just always used them in the service of Krishna or in the service of devotees who have served Krishna. That's all. And similarly here, Kardamuni never used it for his own sense gratification. Text 39. Tenashtilokapa vihara kula chalendra dronishvanga sakhamarutta sobhagasu siddharanato dyudyu nipata shivasvanasu reme chiram dhanat navaruthi. In that aerial mansion, he traveled to the pleasure valleys of Mount Meru, which were rendered all the more beautiful by cool, gentle, fragrant breezes that stimulated passion. In these valleys, the treasure of the gods, Kuvera, surrounded by beautiful women and praised by the Siddhas, generally enjoys pleasure. Kardamuni, also surrounded by the beautiful damsels, and his wife went there and enjoyed for many, many years. Kuvera is one of the 8 demigods who are in charge of different directions of the universe. It is said that Indra is in charge of the eastern side of the universe, where the heavenly planet of paradise is situated. Similarly, Agni is in charge of southeastern portion of the universe. Yama, the demigod who punishes sinners, is in charge of the southern portion. Nirati is in charge of the southwestern portion of the universe. Varuna, the demigod in charge of waters, is in charge of the western portion. Vayu, who controls the air and who has wings to travel in the air, is in charge of the northwestern part of the universe. And Kuvera, the treasurer of the demigods, is in charge of the northern part of the universe. All these demigods take pleasure in the valleys of Mount Meru, which is situated somewhere between the sun and the earth. In the aerial mansion, Kardamuni traveled throughout the 8 directions controlled by the different demigods described above. And as the demigods go to Mount Meru, he also went there to enjoy life. When one is surrounded by young, beautiful girls, sex stimulation naturally becomes prominent. Kardamuni was sexually stimulated and he enjoyed his wife for many, many years in that part of Mount Meru. But his sex indulgence was praised by many, many siddhas, beings who have attained perfection, because it was intended to produce good progeny for the good of the universal affairs. So Karda Muni, although he enjoyed with his wife sexual pleasure, but the idea was to produce good progeny. So before that, they both had undergone so much of austerities and they were purified. The consciousness was completely purified. And also Kardam Muni, when he did his tapasya and Lord Vishnu appeared, and Kardam Muni asked for a boon to get him a suitable wife. The idea was not to enjoy sense gratification, sexual life. Idea was to serve Lord Brahma's orders to create progeny in the world, to fill the world with more living entities. So it was all for the service of Brahmaji. वैश्रम्भ के सुरसने नंदने पुष्प भद्र के मानसे चैत्र रथे च सरे में राम्याय रतः. Satisfied by his wife, he enjoyed in that aerial mansion not only on Mount Meru but in different gardens known as Vaishrambhak, Surasan, Nandan, Pushpabhadrak and Chaitra Rathya, and by the Manas Sarovar lake. Bhrajishna Vimanena Kamagen Mahiyasa Vimani Kanateshesha Charan Lokan Yathanilaha. He traveled in that way through the various planets as the air passes, uncontrolled in every direction. Coursing through the air in that great and splendid aerial mansion, which could fly at his will, he surpassed even the demigods. So that was his opulence of that mansion. It surpassed even the opulence of the demigods. The planets occupied by the demigods are restricted to their own orbits, but Kardam Muni, by his yogic power, could travel all over the different directions of the universe without restriction. The living entities who are within the universe are called conditioned souls. That is, they're not free to move everywhere. We are inhabitants of this earthly globe. We cannot move freely to other planets. In the modern age, man is trying to go to other planets, but so far he has been unsuccessful. It's not possible to travel to any of the planets because by the laws of nature, even the demigods cannot move from one planet to another. But Kardam Muni, by his yogic power, could surpass the strength of the demigods and travel in space in all directions. The comparison here is very suitable. The words Yatha Anilaha indicate that as the air is free to move anywhere without restriction, so Kardam Muni unrestrictedly traveled in all directions of the universe. So this was a yogic power, the mansion. It could move in any direction and it would go by the speed of mind. Amazing aerial mansion of the planet that he created. Kim dura padanam tesham punsam uddama chetasam yera shritas tirtha padash charano vyasnatyaya. What is difficult to achieve for determined men who have taken refuge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Godhead's lotus feet. His feet are the source of sacred rivers like the Ganges, which put an end to the dangers of mundane life. The words Yera Ashutas Tirtha Padas Charana are significant here. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Tirthapad. The Ganges is called a sacred river because it emanates from the toe of Vishnu. The Ganges is meant to eradicate all the material distresses of the conditioned souls. For any living entity, therefore, who has taken shelter of the holy lotus feet of the Lord, nothing is impossible. Kardam Muni is special not because he was a great mystic, but because he was a great devotee. Therefore, it is said here that for a great devotee like Kardam Muni, nothing is impossible. All the yogis can perform wonderful feats, as Kardam has already displayed. Kardam was more than a yogi because he was a great devotee of the Lord, and therefore he was more glorious than an ordinary yogi. As it is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, out of many yogis, he who is a devotee of the Lord is first class. For a person like Karda Muni, there is no question of being conditioned. He was already a liberated soul and better than the demigods, who are also conditioned. Although he was enjoying with his wife and many other women, he was above material conditional life. Therefore, the word Vyasanadhyayaha is used to indicate that he was beyond the position of a conditioned soul. He was transcendental to all material limitations. So by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, because Karta Muni had taken shelter of the Supreme Lord's lotus feet, there was nothing impossible for him to achieve, to attain. What's the big deal for him, for the Lord to give him this aerial mansion to fly around? The Lord can give anything to his devotees. Only thing is, the devotee has to be eligible. Devotee has to be entitled for it. He has to be qualified. Just like once Srila Prabhupada, or going by the example of Prabhupada, Prabhupada came to America at the age of 69 without any contacts, just one contact, Gopal Agarwal, and some 40 rupees, which was equivalent to $8 at that time. He had full faith in the words of his guru and full faith on Krishna. So when Prabhupada started preaching, Krishna gave him everything: money, men, other powers, the intelligence, the followers all over the world. He had houses all over the houses or temples all over the world. He had so many cars in every temple. And everything belonged to Prabhupada. So Krishna can provide anything. And in this regard, there's an incident. Once Prabhupada was invited for prasadam at somebody's house. I believe it was in London. So Prabhupada went there with his disciples. Tamal Krish Maharaj was with him. And the host, they were Indian family. So they served Prabhupada and all the devotees in silver plates, pure silver plates, and the cups and the bowls. So Prabhupada had the prasadam and everybody had prasadam, and afterwards Prabhupada came out and they were coming back to the temple in the car. Tamal Krish Maharaj said, Prabhupada, I wish we could serve you like that in silver plates and silver bowls. And Prabhupada, understanding the mood of Tamal Krish Maharaj, he said, don't be envious of that family. The Tamal Krish Maharaj was taken back, and Prabhupada then told him, if Krishna wants, what to talk about silver plates and silver bowls? If Krishna wants, he can give you the whole world. The question is, what are you going to do with it? So that's entitlement or eligibility. If Krishna wants, he can give everything or anything. Whole world he can give to the devotees. Because he wants to give it to devotees, not to karmis. But the problem is devotees are not ready, devotees are not eligible, devotees are not qualified. So they can get distracted, and they do get distracted. And this is not what Krishna wants. So we have to become eligible, we have to become qualified by our devotional service, by our sadhana bhakti. Sadhana bhakti has to be so pure, so strong, so powerful that, of course, not to get the material benefits from Krishna, but to get the merciful glance of Krishna, that he can use us in his service to attain, to achieve anything that he wants. Or Prabhupada can use us in the service of Krishna. Through us, Prabhupada can preach. Through us, Prabhupada can conquer all the whole world. So that is a qualification. That's what we have to get. We have to attain. And the qualification is purity of consciousness. Making sure we remain and we understand, we remain, we become a servant of Krishna or servant of Brahma. Servant has no desire or no entitlement to enjoy the property of the master. Servant is only supposed to serve the master. So if the master gives him a Mercedes car to go and do some work, servant takes a Mercedes car, understanding this car does not belong to me, and he goes and gets the work done and comes back, returns the car. So that's where we have to purify our consciousness. If it was purified, Prabhupada would have used us accordingly in his mission. But since it is not, that's why Prabhupada is not using us. Prabhupada is not engaging us properly in service. So we have to come to that level. And that's the perfection of life of a disciple, of a follower of Prabhupada. And Prabhupada can use it the way he wants. And that is surrender. Prekshitva bhuvo golam patanya yavan sasansteya bhavascharya mahayogi swashramaya nivartatan. After showing his wife the globe of the universe and its different arrangements, full of many wonders, the great yogi Kardamuni returned to his own hermitage. All the planets are here described as gola, round. Every planet is round and every planet is a different shelter, just like islands in the great ocean. Planets are sometimes called Dvipa or Varsha. This earth planet is called Bharat Varsha because it was ruled by King Bharat. Another significant word used in this verse is Bahu Ashcharyam, many wonderful things. This indicates that the different planets are distributed all over the universe in 8 directions, and each and every one of them is wonderful in itself. Each planet has its particular climatic influences and particular types of inhabitants and is completely equipped with everything, including the beauty of the seasons. In Brahma Samhita, it is similarly stated, Vibhuti Bhinnam. On each and every planet, there are different opulences. It cannot be expected that one planet is exactly like another. By God's grace, by nature's law, each and every planet is made differently and has different wonderful features. All such wonders were personally experienced by Kardamuni while he traveled with his wife, yet he could return again to his humble hermitage. He showed his princess wife that although he was living in the hermitage, he had the power to go everywhere and do anything by mystic yoga. That is the perfection of yoga. One cannot become a perfect yogi simply by showing some sitting postures, nor by such sitting postures or so-called meditation can one become God as it is being advertised. Foolish persons are misled into believing that simply by some caricature of meditation and sitting postures one can become God within 6 months. So here Kardamuni, he traveled with his wife and the 1,000 maidservants in a beautiful mansion all over the universe, and without putting on any special gear. Like if you remember, we don't know if they really went to moon or not, but whatever the NASA showed the pictures of astronauts going to moon. So they had to cover themselves up in that body suit and with the oxygen cylinder and the mask and this and that. There's no mention of all this with Kardamuni. So he could go all over the universe in the same body, same clothes, and travel everywhere. Get down on the planets. And there's Prabhupada explaining every planet has different atmosphere, different wonderful things on every planet. And here we send our spacecraft to Mars and to Moon, and we don't see anything. We just look for some rocks and some dirt and looking for water, thinking without water life is not possible. So this doesn't make sense, whatever the scientists are experiencing. So what is in Bhagavatam, that is the absolute truth actually. Here is an example of a perfect yogi. He could travel all over the universe. Similarly, there is a description of Durvasa Muni, who also traveled in space. Actually, the perfect yogi can do that. But even if one can travel all over the universe and show wonderful feats like Kartam Muni, it cannot be compared to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose power and inconceivable energy can never be attained by any conditioned or liberated soul. By the actions of Kartam Muni, we can understand that in spite of his immense mystic power, he remained a devotee of the Lord. That is a real position of every living entity. So he remained a devotee, understanding this mansion or this universe is not for my enjoyment, and he came back to his hermitage. So there are wonderful things all over the universe, but for us, the best is to engage whatever we have in service of Krishna and get out of this whole material universe traveling business and go back home, back to Godhead, to the spiritual world. So I shall stop here. Should anybody has any questions or comments? Okay, so you all have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.